In the modern NBA, the perfect forward is going to be more of a caricature than anything. It's going to be like a little bit of a mix of LeBron James from the past couple of years. It's going to be a guy that's preferably like 6'8", 6'9", or something like that. Fast as a guard, but strong enough to guard the bigs. Super switchable, long length, can shoot and space the floor, can handle the ball pretty well. Has good enough passing vision. Doesn't have to be a super elite passer. Doesn't have to be the Steve Nash, Chris Paul type of guy, but is expected to be able to make the right pass. Is a solid rebounder at his size, and is most importantly in there night in and night out. And when you think of these, you think of a lot of players that fit certain things, but you don't think of a lot of players that fit all of them. You can think of guys like Brandon Ingram, who really fits that scoring, especially. You can think of other guys who might fit it, but they might be more of a power forward, guys like Paulo Banchero. But when I think of the perfect forward for today's NBA, I think of a player who has proven himself on the biggest stage. I think of a player who has all of the things I described. I think of a guy who's a 3-level scorer and is an elite 2-way player. And when I think of this, I think of Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I know I'm a biased Thunder fan, but when I really think about the perfect forward in today's game, I always think of JDUB because of a couple reasons, Firstly, the scoring. He's a 3-level scorer. He's a very, very willing to shoot from all 3 levels. He's very confident in taking off the dribble threes, off the dribble mid-range shots, and attacking the rim. JDUB's shooting has been streaky at times, especially during the postseason, but that was more due to injury than anything. And he's shown in the regular season to be practically a 40% guy. 2023, 2024, he was shooting 42% from 3. And while that did drop in 2024, 2025, that was to be expected as he was taking much more difficult shots and became much more of a off-the-ball creator for his team, And a big part of what makes him so good is, as I was saying, the scoring. Firstly, yes, very capable, very willing 3-point scorer. And then he also has a very good shot diet of mid-range shots, He likes to take a lot of mid-ranges where he uses his length to kind of shoot away and over the defender, which at times can be a little bit inconsistent, but still does show very good confidence and a young player being able to just go directly into that mid-range game. And that confidence is really born from him being one of the older younger players that we have. He came in the league already, I think 3 or 4 years into his college career, meaning except compared to other guys who were one and dones, or maybe even 2 years, he had a lot more on his plate. He had a lot more feel for the game than those guys did. And so going into it, he's also a very, very good attacker at the rim. Whenever you watch him as a Thunder fan, you watch him and you see a lot of shades of Westbrook back when he was younger. He's got explosive athleticism and a really good wingspan, allowing him to kind of just dunk over most defenders. He also is very excellent at switching hands midair and he's very good at attacking the rim and kind of making it up on the fly as he gets into his jumping and being able to kind of maneuver around the big men, maneuver around any sort of rim protection that he faces. And we saw that in the playoffs plenty of times, He's really good at kind of just directing through traffic, and his ball handle is pretty well as well. He's been able to bring the ball up the floor, be a main and initial creator for the OKC Thunder. He's able to run the pick and roll pretty well. He's actually a better lob passer than Shea was up until this year, I'd say. He's just excellent kind of offensively, period. He's the perfect secondary ball handler for this Thunder team right now. And that's when I look at him, I kind of look at him as a pretty perfect forward in today's game. He's got the switchability and defense. Actually, let's go into that. He's an all defensive second team member for good reason. On the perimeter, he's excellent at locking up the opposing player. Surrounded by guys like Hassan Wallace, Alex Caruso, and Lou Dort. Obviously, you don't really think of him as, and also Chet Holmgren, you don't really think of him as this premier defender, but in reality he is. He's got a really long length, and he's got active hands that allows him to pick up blocks on jump shots, that allows him to get easy steals by pickpocketing opposing offensive players. And he's also quick enough and has a big enough body to where he can stay with those quick guards and it caused a lot of havoc on them. And then as well as being big enough and strong enough and still having that same length to be able to bother a lot of the bigger players. So in a series against a team like the Celtics, you'll be able to see him switch from Derek White to Jason Tatum with the flip of a switch. And he's a big part of the reason why that Thunder defense is so elite, because that switchability allows them to just kind of play up on everybody without having to worry about giving up too much of a size mismatch. We saw it earlier this year. Well, not earlier. It was only a couple weeks ago against the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon had an excellent first half, and that was mainly because the Thunder had nobody really to guard him. And especially with Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein being out, they couldn't put Jalen Williams on him because he needed to be on Jokic. And no matter how good Alex Caruso and Luke Dort are, they are very much just too small. While with JDUB, that's completely different. And he's also shown excellent work as a help protector, as a help defender. And as a rim protector. I'm not saying he's like a Chet level or a Wemby level or anything, but he's shown very good capability of kind of just timing those blocks. And he's also shown really well the ability to stay in the passing lanes and to use his length to just kind of pick at the ball when it comes near him. And then combine that with his athleticism, allows him to get a lot of very easy fast break points, allows him to give a dynamic to this offense where, while SGA is a lot more methodical and likes to slow it down and kind of get to his spots, JDUB's more attack at 100% speed. So when I look at this guy, I look at the offense, I look at the defense, and I look at everything, I think of him as the perfect second option in today's NBA. You look at it and you think like, oh, this works so well next to a guy like SGA. It allows him to get a lot of off the pass attack opportunities, allows him to really exploit mismatches, because you can't put any small guards on him because then they'll just get bodied, and if you try to put somebody way bigger than him, they're just going to get blown past by. A lot of those 6'9" guards that can move like 6'9" forwards that can move like a guard, those don't spawn on trees, unfortunately. So, and he kind of feels like a relic of the couple of years ago where the best player in the league would always be a big wing like that, a ball handling wing who can kind of do it all. Right now I feel like I talked in another video how we're going into more of the center position, but I also think we are kind of evolving into the guard being the dominant position as well. I don't think that'll happen yet. I think the center position is going to have its reign for a couple more years, where the majority of the best players in the league are going to be big men. But I also think there's going to be a lot of guards that have a good argument for best in the world. Like right now, SGA is the best in the world. We're going to have guys like Luka and hovering around for a while. In this previous draft, Cooper Flag is amazing, but Colin Knueppel and VJ Edgecombe look terrific. They're going to be definite like all-star level players at least going into the future. And where I feel like we're going to see this more and more. We're going to see a combo of those types of guards, but we're also going to see those forwards kind of get undervalued, because you're going to always think of the big men and you want your 6'5" point guard, you want your new age Penny Hardaways and stuff, you want your Hakeem Olajuwon with a 3-pointer like Joel Embiid, you want your 7'5" demons, aliens like Wemby, you want your 7-foot passing bigs who can pick apart a defense like Jokic, but you're going to forget that we also need those big forwards, those wings that can move up the floor quickly, that can fill the gap, that can make plays when they need to, that can go out and score. You're going to need those too. And I feel like when I look at him as the perfect forward in today's game. I think he's like one of those guys you could have dropped at any era and he would have dominated. You can say that about really any all-star, any superstar at any point in the league, I feel like. But he's like really one of those guys that was like, man, like this feels like looking at somebody's like superstar created player from like 10 years ago. And he's just kind of evolved with the times. So yeah, I just wanted to, talk a little bit about Jalen Williams. I have a couple video ideas in mind. It was actually really funny about the Lakers video because they're lost to the Pistons. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't, but I'll probably still will. I apologize for this video coming out so late. I did have a crazy headache the past 2 days, so I wasn't really able to make the video. But it like kind of came on after me and our boy Straight Up Sports went to go see the Thunder Sixers game, and it just kind of killed me for the whole day. But I do appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me, and thank you guys for listening, watching, whatever you do, and I do hope to see you next time. Peace.